New WCEG Network on WCEGTalkRadio.com. Click live stream or watch us live on television, YouTube. I am Damita Chatman, your host for the next hour of Take a Stand, where we're the Wide World Community Empower Group, where we speak life into the community. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and on Instagram at WCEG Talk Radio. Last but least, everything that is said today is opinions of the host and the guests and not WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support. Good afternoon, Senator Jordan.
Good afternoon to you.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. It's beautiful outside, and Mother's Day was great. So, I'm feeling pretty good today.
Yes. Before I go in, and I'm for you to introduce yourself. Let me clear the air because I got some couple texts and some inboxes about where we taking a stand. Take a stand. Talk about everything. We talk about the homeless, politics, everything. There's nothing that's left on the table. And so this is my opinion and how I feel about things and discuss. So just let everybody know that. You want to tell us a little about yourself, Senator?
Yeah. My name is Jen Jordan. I'm a state senator I live in Sandy Springs. I represent large parts of Fulton County and also Cobb County. And I won that seat in 2017 after a special election. And I flipped it from a Republican seat to a Democratic seat. And I have been serving up there ever since. But I'm also a lawyer. I have been a trial lawyer in the Atlanta area for over 20 years. I went to the University of Georgia School of Law, graduated magna cum laude, and just had a really incredible experience there. And so have been practicing law ever since and love it. It's really a great field to be in.
Okay. Now I understand that question. Didn't know that. Let us talk about the topic, the hot topic right now, pro-choice and pro-life. Tell us, how do you feel about that and women's rights?
Well, so I'm for women's rights. I think women are just as equal as men are, and equal pay, all the things, with respect to that. We can do what men can do, and more, because we can have children, right? So it's one of those things where we're in 2022. And as you know, this last week, we had a situation where a draft opinion from the U.S. Supreme Court was leaked to the public. And basically in that opinion, it reverses Roe v. Wade. And what that means is that for over 50 years, women have had the ability to make decisions about, their body's autonomy when they want to have children, and the like. And what this opinion would do, if it's final, is it would take those rights away and say, okay, state legislature, the House, the Senate in Georgia, you get to make the decision as to the women in your state. And the problem is that we know that with respect to the people who are serving right now, they're going to take those rights away almost immediately.
Mm. So let me ask you this. Do you think, because this is my opinion, I think that politicians and men should stay out of women's bedroom. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I mean, look, I will borrow what Senator Warnock says, which is, there's not enough, space in a room for government to be there between a woman and her doctor and then her God in terms of whatever decision she wants to make. And so it's never made sense to me that a lot of men trust women to have children, right? and raise them and be the ones that are primarily responsible for them, but don't want us to be able to make the decisions about when and how we have children, which it doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it don't. Now let me ask this: the bill Roe v. Wade, it passed in 1973. In your opinion, what do you think they were thinking about then in 1973?
Well, I know in 1973, there was a situation where there really was an epidemic of unsafe abortions being performed. And so, young women were self-aborting using various instruments and dying from it, and also back alley abortion. So it wasn't regulated like in the regular course in terms of, how doctors' offices are. Nobody was checking to see if it was clean. Nobody was checking to make sure that they were actually offering appropriate care to the women. And it was an epidemic. And so it kind of got to a point where something had to happen because too many women were dying or being injured, or basically, a lot of them would have to have hysterectomies and never be able to have children again. So at that point in time, I don't think it was as controversial as it is now, because there was a real problem and a lot of folks understood it was a real problem and really just wanted to kind of, put a framework in place to balance rights, right, between a mama and, the pregnancy. And, that's what they did. And I think they thought that they had settled the question, right? I don't think would they know that 50 years later, we would be talking about it.
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to just say our male senators down, that represent us in Georgia. Do you think they would feel this way if their daughters or wife came home, had been raped?
Well, that's what is incredibly frustrating. And I will say also a little horrifying, because I'll tell you that a lot of them do not believe in exceptions for rape or for incest or anything like that. They believe that, if a 12-year-old is raped and becomes pregnant, that she should be made to carry that baby to term, period. They're not even thinking about that 12-year-old in the sense of she's a baby. I mean, she's a child, right? And so it's kind of one of these things where they draw these lines in the sand. But my whole thing is, if you really care about women, if you really care about children, we would have expanded Medicaid. We
Absolutely.
Would be offering health care to people. We would be opening hospitals in rural Georgia. I mean, our maternal mortality rate is one of the worst in the country. I mean, it is safer to have a baby in some third world countries than it is in some parts of Georgia. That's a travesty. And so instead of working on supporting doctors, supporting women and healthcare providers and having them come into the state, we're passing laws or adopting policies that really criminalize physicians if they do certain procedures. And I'll tell you that if I were a physician, I wouldn't want to come to a state that could possibly throw me in jail if I performed a procedure that I thought that my patient needed.
Right. And I remember living out in California, and I would hear some of the stories where they couldn't get abortion in the San Diego area. So what they did, they went across the border in Tijuana to get their abortions. Let me ask you this. Men has taken a stand on this issue, but just think if we had took a stand on men getting Viagra, will we be having a different conversation?
Look, we know we would, right?
I
there is not a single law that regulates men's bodies. But I tell you what, they're happy to slap a few on us. And so it's one of these things where it really does feel like they are, a lot of people, I'll say, purport to be pro-life and care about these children purportedly, but they don't seem to care about those babies once they're born. So it's one of these things where you can't have it both ways,
Absolutely.
right? Can't have it.
Absolutely. And you brought up a good question. They seem to not care, because once the baby here, now you got to be able to provide for the baby. You got to clothe the baby, educate the baby. And right now, United States is struggling. You have,
Right, feeding the child. I mean, we don't
right,
even offer, I mean, the state of Georgia really doesn't even offer maternity leave and or family medical leave. We're not supporting moms, right, who are working moms or who need to stay at home. And I think COVID really showed us just how weak our system is in terms of support for mothers, and it's particularly mothers with young children. So, like I said, it's all nice. People can say all this stuff all they want in terms of, this is about life. And it's like, well, what about the folks that are walking around right now? I mean, we've got a lot of people who we could help if we actually focused on the real issues.
absolutely, absolutely. Because let me ask you this, dealing with some of these issues, like you say, you got to get them housing. And now and then in Tennessee, they passed a law that a man can marry a child. Did that law pass in Tennessee?
Probably. I mean, I'm not sure, but I will tell you that it took a long time, for us to even up the age.
Age 13. Sorry, it
Yeah,
was age 13.
I mean that's those are children.
Those are children.
And the fact that people think that that's okay, it is. I mean, I've got a 13-year-old daughter. She is a child.
Absolutely.
So it's one of these things where we have to start, we as women have, really kind of step up. And I think we are, but man, it's a tough fight. It's a real tough fight right now.
Miss James, unmute yourself.
Good afternoon.
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm good. Had a little technical
Okay, that's okay.
difficulty going on.
Okay, well, introduce yourself, and then you can jump right on in with this conversation.
Hello, Damita and Jen Jordan. Thank you so much, Damita, for having us. I am Triana Arnold James. I am the president of Georgia Now, National Organization for Women, which is the largest feminist organization in the country. I am a district board member representing the southern states, and I was recently or earlier this year appointed as the national chair for Ending Violence Against Women Committee. And so I always say I'm Jamaican. I got 3 jobs. But I love what I do. I'm excited. We're boots on the ground. We fight for our 6 core issues, and I'm very passionate about those issues. And, I'm a mother. I am a grandmother. I am a retired veteran of Army, active duty and reserve. And I am boots on the ground advocate. And that's, in a nutshell, that's who I am and what I do.
Okay, well, good. What you think about the bill that they're trying to overturn Roe v. Wade? What you think about that? Give me your opinion.
It's hurtful. It's hurtful, and it pisses me off. Now, me personally, I raised 12, and now I have, grandchildren. So this factory within me is closed. However, if it wasn't, I would not want that choice taken away. So it's about taking away. It's a war on women, point blank, and it's taking away our choice. And I have 4 girls, and I wouldn't want anybody to tell them what they can and cannot do with their own bodies. Women, we are 51% of this country, and just like Senator Jordan was saying, we are stepping up. Because here's the thing, and like I said on Saturday, when you come for one of us, you're coming for all of us. And it's hurtful because it seemed like, especially with Black women, we are so loyal. And but everything seemed to be put in place to keep us down, to suppress us. And we are the largest voting bloc, and we come out, we get our families, our church, our business, our friends, our community. We come out and we get them to vote. We go hard for our elected officials. But does our elected officials go hard for us?
Do you think? Let me ask you a question, because you just said, do you think that they're afraid of the women, especially the Black women?
I think so. I've been named the angry Black woman many times, but I tell you, I'm angry. I'm angry at your, trying to suppress my vote. I'm angry because you're trying to make decisions for my body. I'm angry because our Black and brown brothers and sisters are being gunned down and no accountability. I'm angry because of those things. I'm angry because we're not even in the Constitution. Justice Alito said that abortion is not in the Constitution. Well, neither is the word women or woman. So it's time for us to get in the Constitution. That's why we need the 28th Amendment. The 28th Amendment will protect us. All of these acts, the Ledbetter Act for equal pay for equal work, the Women Protection Act that they're trying to get passed in the Senate now, all of those things, those are acts. Acts can be overturned and changed with each administration, but the Constitution cannot. And that's the reason why we have been fighting for the Equal Rights Amendment, to make sure that these laws dealing with our reproductive system and dealing with the criminal justice system and jobs and things like that is even across the board. It's fair across the board. That's why we need that, because these laws, these crazy laws and these opinions will stop.
Exactly. Let's talk about the Women's Health Protection Act that they're trying to pass. They hadn't passed that yet, have they?
No, I don't believe so, but I think it's something that they are working on. I know our call to action this morning was to call your senators, and you can go on Georgia Now Facebook page to get all the information and tell them to pass the Women Protection Act. But the bigger picture is they need to codify Roe v. Wade. That's what they need to do. They need to codify that so that it can truly be the law of the land.
Mute that phone. Senator, how do your colleagues feel about this bill down under the Gold Dome?
So that one's up at the federal level.
Yeah, the federal. How do your colleagues under the Gold Dome feel about this?
Well, it depends on what side of the aisle you're on. I'll tell you that in the state Senate, the Democratic caucus, which is all the Democratic members of the state Senate, that caucus is made up of a supermajority of women. So not only are we the majority, but we're a supermajority of that group, which is pretty incredible if you think about it. And we are led by an incredible Black woman, and I mean, she has just been incredible in terms of her leadership, especially in some really hard times, when we're dealing with laws like this.
Who's the leader?
Gloria Butler, Senator Gloria Butler. She's amazing. But I can tell you on the other side of the aisle that there doesn't seem to be a lot of consideration given to what women think or need or want, and that this really is, it's a control issue at the end of the day.
I was just going to say that. I just thought about, do you think that the men think the women is getting too much control?
I think it comes from someplace, right? Because it can't come from the whole idea that you want to help people, because like I said, we're not seeing it on the other side. So you have to say, well, then what is this about? And look, at the end of the day, in terms of women being able to control kind of their reproductive health and when they have children and everything, it impacts every aspect of their life, their ability to finish their educations, their ability to get a job and make money and be able to provide for their families, right? So, we've seen in other developing countries, as soon as contraception was allowed, that you saw a rise in terms of the money that women were making, a rise in the GDP across the board for these countries because women were really making a contribution in terms of their work. All of that is significant and important, not just for living a full life yourself, right? And doing, the things you love or want to do, but it's also important in terms of you being able to take care of these babies, right?
Absolutely.
And provide for them, because that's what people want. People just want the ability, to live their lives and be able to take care of their families.
Now I heard, and Ms. James, you can speak on this. I either read or heard somewhere, back in the day when we were coming up, we had sex education in school, and you can go to a clinic and pick up your birth control pills if that was your choice. And I heard that's what they're trying to ban that. So what do these kids do? You have this, what do they do?
Well, I think they want to just keep people not ignorant as in negative, ignorant or super as in, not knowing, and in the dark. And just to pick back a little bit what Senator was saying, it's about power. It's about power and control, and you want to see me as chattel. You don't want to see me as an equal, regardless of what your race is. Right. It's about power, and you want to have that power. And with the way things are going now, in modern technology, we so far behind on technology. That's what we should be enhancing our STEM programs. We should be cultivating the next generation instead of taking us back to the 1800s. And taking us to a place where it's illegal or it's not safe. And here's the thing, abortions are not going to stop.
Absolutely.
They're not going to stop. It's whether they're going to be legal and safe. That's what, what's going to happen if this opinion overturns Roe v. Wade, and then what else are they going to come after? Like you said, sex education in the school, critical race theory in the school. Yes. You don't want people to know that America has a racist past, but they're gonna know because of modern technology. They're gonna find out, but why not teach it in a manner where everybody can understand?
Absolutely.
And go from there, where you're looking at both sides of the fence, and not saying that there was some good people on the other side. Slavery was an abomination. It was genocide. So why is it that can't be taught in school? Why is it that our kids can no longer learn about ML King and his fight, the Selma March, the voting rights, even the 19th Amendment, how it came about? My great grandmother advocated for the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. She advocated for that. And I didn't find that out until I really got into constitutional equality, and so it's like, it's taking us back. It's taking away all these things, but you don't have an alternative to put it in, so.
And let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask both of you the question. It's a form of control and power. And I'm not saying that women should just take over the country, because if I say that, I have a young son and I'm gonna knock him out. So I'm not saying that. I think we should be equal. I think if I'm gonna use Mitch, if he can get paid $100,000, and if Ms. James come in with the same qualifications, I believe she should get paid $100,000 too. That's just my belief. Let me ask you, this with this abortion and so forth. Do you see Georgia taking a stand like the other states, like Texas and so forth?
Well, they tried.
Well, they really have. I mean, with 481, HB 481.
Mm-hmm.
So they passed HB House Bill 481 in 2019, and it's been in the courts ever since. It got stopped because of a lawsuit. And so it's been working its way through the court system. The problem is that when the Supreme Court releases this opinion that reverses Roe v. Wade, it's going to allow HB 481 to go into effect. And they call it the 6-week abortion ban, but we all know most women don't even know they're pregnant at 6 weeks.
Exactly.
And even apart from that, probably the crazier parts of the law are something called personhood, so basically 481 says that a fertilized egg is a person under Georgia law. So if you think about all the ways that the law affects people, and now kind of think about it in the context of just a fertilized egg. I mean, I can't, in terms of infertility treatments, all the strides we've made there that have helped women have healthy children and babies, like what's going to be the impact there? So we've got some dark times ahead, I think.
Now, I'm asked a question that someone sent me, and it might be a little controversial, but they sent it, and I'm going to ask. They said, would the Republicans think different if their daughters start bringing Black babies home? What do you think, Senator? I'm gonna let you answer that first, Senator. Then I'm gonna go to James. Let me go to James because she laughing. Let me get what you think, James. Tell me what you think. Would they think different?
They might have I think they may have a problem with that, because they don't believe in mixing the two. Some of them don't. But because we do have some good, let's put this disclaimer out there. We do have some good Republicans out there.
Absolutely.
But they may have a problem with that. But even still, old white guys, Republicans, feel like they are in control, that this country was built centered around them and no one else. And so even when it comes to their daughters and sisters and aunts and female family members, they don't care. They don't care. So if you cared about what's in the womb, you should be caring about what's outside
the womb. Absolutely.
With education, job training, job resources, period. Medicaid expansion, Georgia.
Yes. How?
Expand Medicaid. Those Medicaid waivers, I like them, and I'm glad that Governor Kemp had did, but it doesn't go far enough, and it doesn't help people in rural Georgia. So yeah, I mean, you gotta, provide resources outside the womb as well. If you care much about what's in the womb, then you gotta care about what's outside the womb. And then, our welfare system, if people go get on TANF, and I think they changed the name of TANF, and SNAP, and Medicaid and all of that stuff, then they tell you, well, wait a minute, in order for you to get these benefits, you can't have a man living with you, and you got to pee in this cup.
Wow.
I'm gonna keep it real. I that's how I say it. I'm not always gonna be politically correct.
But say it the way you say it the way.
So you're putting stipulations on these things, but you're not providing anything. You're not doing anything to help, outside of the womb, through jobs, through education, through healthcare. Why is it taking so long to do away with student loans? Why is it even a question?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think they have a In a
Well, and let me,
I think they
What
would
you
have a
think? What
problem
you think,
with that.
Senator?
let me jump in and say this, because, you know, it's one of those things where I think you asked the question earlier in terms of, well, if what if one of their daughters was raped and became pregnant? Let's be real. They're going to be able to access abortion because they can take their daughter outside of the state and go to another state where it is legal and safe, and they can pay for it, right?
Yes.
And so the problem is that then what happens here back in Georgia, where you have you know, women that don't have the money, don't have the means, and let's also be real too, that Black and brown women are going to feel the brunt of this.
Yes.
They're not going to have access at all. They're not going to have the means to go out of state, and that is when you already have a situation like we have in rural Georgia in terms of maternal mortality. I mean, you are just really lighting a powder keg, right? Like, we already have women dying at record numbers down there.
Yeah.
So basically, and this bill gonna hurt it's gonna hurt the minorities. The words. Are they fighting for that? Has that just been right out said, James? It's gonna hurt the Black women, the Hispanic women. Have that just been out like said?
We say it because we know it is facts. Statistics have shown us that it will hurt Black and brown women, you know, would negatively be affected by it than white women. We know that. And, you know, in speaking in terms of rural Georgia, you know, healthcare, that's where the most is mostly needed. Medicaid expansion is mostly needed so that they can have these resources and get insurance and do what they need to do to take care of their bodies and themselves and their families and things like that. And so, you know, we already know, you know, as they say, don't go to Black churches telling us how racist this country, how racists act. Go to other churches and tell them and get them to stand in solidarity, you know, with all of us. You know, we should all work in a bipartisan manner. But when you have a force on the other side that's not even willing to work, then, and we're trying to come all the way, compromise becomes surrender. Yeah. And I'm not with that.
And I agree with you. It's a law in Georgia that after you have a baby and you don't have insurance, they don't cover your checkup. Is that true or not?
So it was true. It was true. And I filed a bill in the Senate, and there were some bills filed in the House. I've been fighting for this for a few years. I think last year we expanded it so that it's Medicaid will continue for two years, 24 months. No. What was it? 2 months. It was something, but at least it was something, or 6 months. It was something like that. But we actually passed a bill this year that expands it out for a year. So if you're a mama that is on Medicaid, right, while you're pregnant, you will continue to get Medicaid through that year after. And that's important because it's that year where these mamas are really, really in trouble from a health perspective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. What can you guys do? Senator, I know you're on the ballot. What can you do to help bring the Democrats to the table that we got to get on the same page? Do you agree?
Yeah. I mean, look, I think this is the way I think about it, is that we have the same values, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to talk about our values and kind of a value statement.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to disagree probably on how to get there in different ways, but it is about talking to each other about it.
Right.
I think that we have not been doing that. And, you know, look, if we're going to continue, to win offices and govern, because that's the whole point, right? Running for office isn't about winning an election. Running for office is about getting in office so that you can put into place the policies that help people. And so if we want to get to that point where, we're living our values and we're helping the people in this state, then we've got to be a little, maybe just nicer to each other too. Show each other a little bit of grace, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now let me ask you guys, Senator, we can get with you and then we go to Ms. James. What do you do about the women that's laying under the street, the bridges, and right now on the freeway off a highway, Interstate 20, that's pregnant and you can't get, how do you get to them people? Because apparently they're not getting health care and they're out there pregnant. So how do we reach those women?
Look, I think what you're seeing is a complete and utter failure of the mental health system in this state. I will tell you that the largest provider of mental health services in the state is the Department of Corrections. Okay, the Department of Corrections. Mm-hmm. And so it's one of those things where we have people that are having mental health crises, going through some tough times. They're not getting treatment, and so they get thrown in jail, and then they kind of get in that cycle. So I think in terms of that, if we want to help folks, we have got to make sure that we can offer mental health services to people, that we can get them stabilized, and that we can then have, I call them like bridge services, because it's great if you get somebody stabilized and on the right medication, and then you push them out the door and there's nothing for them, right? So in terms of the community, in terms of where can they live, where can they work, where can they get some training? Because it has become a real issue. I mean, and we see it, right? Like you're talking about, it is right before our eyes.
Absolutely. What do you think, James?
In addition to what Senator was saying, who, thank God, she's running for Attorney General. I don't know if that's okay to say that or not, but I'm glad she's running.
All right with me.
I'm glad. I'm excited. But we also need to provide resources. There's a lot of funds that come into the state of Georgia, that all over, where we can help these people under the bridges. I see it every day. Every city from Savannah to Augusta to Columbus have what they call tent city. And these people are under the bridge. They got their tents and they got whatever they could carry, and then when you try to help, then they want to fine you. They want to tell you to leave. I remember it was cold, really cold. We had a bad winter, and I had went out and just some 99-cent cheeseburgers and some coffee that I got from Waffle House and hot cocoa. And I took it out to the people and I was just passing that out. And I'm not going to say what agency, but I almost got arrested for doing that. And all I did was hand out $2 worth of stuff because it was cold, hot cocoa and coffee and a cheeseburger to hold you over until you get your next meal. And I thought that was really sad on behalf of that city to want to arrest someone like me for handing out a cheeseburger and a cup of coffee. Yeah. And so not only do we have to, continue to serve, because I'm a servant leader, we have to provide resources. There's a lot of empty buildings down in the city of Atlanta. Absolutely. Turn those into a shelter. Absolutely. We got enough money coming in, especially with the airport. Absolutely. So if we pay state tax. So turn one of those buildings into a homeless shelter and let them run it. Oversee it with a nonprofit organization or, something out of the mayor's office to supervise. But put them in that building, provide resources, medication, health, job training, all of that. Absolutely. And let them run it. Because, and I have to take this back to my spiritual ways, is God gave Adam a job and a place to stay. He gave him till the land and that's your job. And the Garden of Eden is where you will live. Why is it that we can't take on that same spirit?
Absolutely.
Give a job and a place to stay.
Absolutely. Let me, and I know you guys have been out to Los Angeles, and when I come here, I was surprised because going through Los Angeles down there on Skid Row, you saw them laying in the sewers and babies and just whole families. You go there, the street is just covered. And if we don't get a handle on it, that's what Atlanta's going to look like. You can ride right now down 20 and you can see it. And I totally agree. We need somewhere to house these people, open a building. I used to go feed the homeless from LA to Tijuana. And when I come here, that was one of my goals that I want to do, but they said it wasn't a problem. And now it's a serious problem because so many of us is just one paycheck away from that street. And I think what happened is, this is my opinion, we get too comfortable and it's the haves and the have-nots. And sometimes we forget about the people, and you got to have a serving heart. Yeah. And I always say everybody in leader that's elected ain't got a serving heart. You got to have a serving heart. So what do you see in the next 5 years where the homeless and the women going to be at, Senator?
So specifically in terms of the city of Atlanta, I am really hopeful because we have elected Andre Dickens to be the new mayor.
Doing a great job.
And he has been the tip of the spear in terms of trying to bring attention to affordable housing issues and the unhoused in our city for years, right? And so he gets it. And, I think he is really going to try to use the power of the mayor's office. And of course, all of these groups in Atlanta, all these nonprofits or businesses or whatever, because it impacts all of us. I mean, it's one of these things where you really see just how much of a community we are, in that we've got to take care, of our brother and our sister, period. So I'm feeling really, really positive in terms of kind of the stuff he's working on.
Mm-hmm. Great. Now let me ask you, because some people kind of get this confused. Mental health in Fulton County don't lay with the city of Fairburn, city of South Fort. It lays with the commissioners, correct? Mm-hmm. Have the senators sat down with the commissioners and kind of laid out a plan to help these homeless people and the women?
We have been, I am the chair of the Fulton County Senate delegation, and we have been meeting and working on this issue since I've been elected. I think we were making pretty significant strides, and then COVID kind of came in and pushed everybody on their backsides. And I think now we're just trying to because part of what we're dealing with now is kind of COVID related, and part of it is the original problem. So trying to kind of figure out, how do we deal with this? Because hopefully the COVID related part of it is going to go away once we, kind of come out of this pandemic for good. But yeah, people have been working, and begging for money because the Fulton County Commission goes to the state of Georgia and says, please give us money in terms of mental health services. Our jails are overrun. That's one of the reasons why Fulton County Jail is overcrowded, because they have so many people that are dealing with mental health crises there.
Mm-hmm. Now let's talk. What about a veteran? Because we are veterans also. Well, my husband, and so I'm a part of that. So I'm a veteran too. Let me ask you.
Women serve too.
Oh yeah. 30 years almost. What do you do for the veterans out there, the veteran women that's having that crisis? Where do they go to get the help? Some of them don't want the help, but just tell me What do you do for
Let
those
me
people?
let me answer that, being that I am a veteran.
Mhm.
26 years in between Army, active duty, and reserves. And we need to, number one, we need to appoint a veteran over the VA.
Mhm.
A veteran, actually a military person, needs to actually be in charge of the VA, because that is a whole different language, and veterans understand veterans.
I agree.
First thing. Second thing, we need to, there's a center over at the VA in Decatur. It's called the Eagle Nest. Veterans can come there and stay, take a shower, sleep, get medicine, see their doctor, get their benefits started, everything. But guess what? It's losing funding. So we need to make sure that funding is gotten to a place like that. And then that way, and then I will take a Greyhound bus and drive around to the state of Georgia and pick up veterans and say, hey, did you know you can go stay over here for free? Did you know you can get something to eat? Did you know you can take a shower? Did you know you can get your medication over there? So that will be the second thing, is funding. And then the third thing is also funding, is funding the VA. We need to make sure that money is there and it is used wisely on veterans, not just female veterans, but male veterans.
Absolutely.
And then also we need to up the funding and the resources for military sexual trauma, MST. That exists. And if we don't do that, and then I read an article that said that abortion is going to hurt a lot of female veterans, because when you first get in the military, you might not be ready to have children, and you might want to make that choice. And if you're pregnant, I couldn't go to New York while I was pregnant. I couldn't go to Katrina while I was pregnant. I had to sit behind a desk and do nothing, do my computer work, things like that as pregnant. But I wanted to do more, because being in the military, I feel, and sometimes I miss the uniform, that I'm a part of something bigger than myself. And it's not about me. It's about this country. It's about what we stand for. It's about the camaraderie. So, and I'm sacrificing my life so that you can have the right to do what you do. So why not bring it back? Give back. If you're gonna give back to somebody, give back to our veterans.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, since the Supreme Court gonna hold a decision in their hand, which Supreme Court justice you think is gonna be the one to pull the trigger on either?
To get it passed, to get
it passed, or to make it fail? Which one? Be honest.
Well, I think Amy Coney Barrett is going to be the one that is. She was kind of the last one to fall, because she was put on in place of RBG. So if there is going to be somebody who tries to work out something, it may be John Roberts.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it ain't going to be good. Like even a middle ground is really taking away rights, right?
Yeah.
And let me just say this is the first time in the history of this country where we have a Supreme Court that is going to act to actually take away rights away from citizens. It's never happened. We've expanded rights. We've kind of dealt with the contours of it, but we've never just taken these rights away. And so that's why it's kind of hard to even get your head around, because there isn't precedent for this.
Sad. It's sad. It's really sad. I think people need to get out and vote like it ain't your life depended on it.
Mm-hmm. And we need to make it a lifestyle. Democrats need to make it a lifestyle to vote in every election, regardless, from local to municipalities to county to state, and then being on the ballot once myself, a couple of times myself, it's like we need a down ballot strategy. You know, because a lot of people, they go in and they vote on the top of the ticket, and then they don't do I'm just voting here, and then they don't go down ballot. But we need people like Senator Jordan in the Attorney General's office. We need elected officials. I'm serious. We get it. Oh, I sound like President Biden. I'm serious. But we need people that's going to fight for the people, that's going to stand up for the people, and not the party, not the pocket, not the status quo.
Absolutely.
We need people that's gonna that we could call on and say, "Did you know this was happening?" Just like that was happening down in Irvin County Detention Center.
That's right.
The Attorney General should have prosecuted that medical doctor from day one. Yep. Shouldn't even been shouldn't even hesitate. It shouldn't even got to congressional investigation, because the state Attorney General could have handled it when that doctor was giving those forced hysterectomies without the women's consent. You taking away her womanhood. You taking away something within her that does not belong to you. And y'all excuse me in my tone, but it gets me. It gets me.
I agree. I totally agree with you that.
So call me the angry Black woman if you want to. This is why I'm angry.
That's okay.
It's okay. And the election in Georgia is so important this year. It's very important. I remember the year that Daniel Blackman ran.
Yeah.
And everybody went in there and voted for one person and forgot about Daniel Blackman. It was no way in the world that he should have lost if they had went straight down that ticket. No way in the world. But they did.
And he was running for one of the most important seats, which is the PSC, the Public Service Commission.
Absolutely.
And they are the commission that sets the rates that people have to pay for power.
Absolutely.
So you could talk about an office that absolutely affects every person in this state. I mean, open up your power bill.
Exactly.
And
folks just weren't putting it together.
No. Mm-hmm. Education is powerful. That's why I'm kind of glad I'm out here like James. We can say what we want to say and do what we do, and ain't got to be put in the
politically correct.
Yeah, politically correct.
I don't need to be politically correct.
Yeah, I don't need to. And I'm gonna say it while y'all on here. I'm getting sick of these undercover Democrats. Undercover Democrats, they Democrats on the outside when they're with me, but they Republican behind closed doors. I'm sick of them.
Yeah, I've seen some.
I heard about the issue under the hold on. What do you see? We wrapping it down. We're gonna do some closing remarks. Do y'all think Justice Clarence Thomas gonna vote for this or against it?
Oh, he's going to vote to strip the rights as quick as he can.
Mm-hmm.
I believe. You believe it? I want to know. He from down in Mississippi, ain't he?
No, he's from Georgia.
Oh, he's from Georgia?
He's from Georgia, yeah.
He's from the coast.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I want to know, because he said affirmative action didn't help him. I really want to sit down I wish I could sit at the table with him for a couple hours, but I know that I know that it never happened. Senator, go on and give me some closing remarks. And thank you, guys. I can see you all day and talk to you. Come on, give us some closing remarks.
Well, I think what you were saying earlier is key. Everybody needs to get out and vote on May 24th or early, right? My preference is early. Also, if you ask for an absentee ballot and you have any problems, report that back, because the big thing for us is, they passed that big law, SB 202, that was intended to make it harder for people to vote.
Absolutely.
And so we want to make sure that we know what the real traps are. before we go into November for the real
Right.
show, right? So people need to vote like this is just what you do. Like you said, this just needs to be what we do every primary, every general, municipal, whatever. It is our responsibility as U.S. citizens to do it.
Mhm. It's our duty. It's our God-given right duty to vote. And that's what we need to register. We need to register our family, our friends, community, our church, our businesses, our co-workers. Register, show up, and vote. That's
Yep.
what we. And yeah, I agree, Senator. Voting early, go on and get it out the way. That way you don't have
Go ahead and get it.
You don't have to be in the lines
Right.
on May 24th. You don't have to do any of that. You can go right. You can go to mvp.sos.ga.gov and find your polling place, and also see your elected officials who's currently in the seat if they've updated it. I don't know if they updated it not with the redistricting and everything.
It
But
should be. It should be
Yeah.
now, but
you can find your polling place and make sure you go vote. It's crazy that we have to educate every year because, like I said, voting should be a lifestyle. It is on the Republican side. It's a lifestyle, So why is it an option for Democrats? We need to, and then we also need to down ballot. There's absolutely no reason why there should have been a $2 million difference between Warnock, Ossoff, and
Daniel Blackman, right?
Going down the ballot. So I just think that our vote is the one thing that's outside of our family and our God that's so important. And I wish that people would take it serious. I wish that we could change the ballot around to put the public service commissioners at the top and then the top of the ticket at the bottom.
Well, that's something. How about that?
Since I said it, I guess I'll make that announcement, but that is something that we're working on.
My alarm is going to go off. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Jen. Good to see you.
Yeah, this was great.
To talk to you. And thank you, Damita and WCEG. Thank you all so much. And Damita, where you go? They said we got 2 minutes. Did she leave us?
I think she's coming back.
Oh, there she go.
Thank you. Look, they came out and fixed it, so something ain't right because I'm sitting here and it's going off, and I know I didn't have to go and pull my Glock out. Let me tell you, I want to thank you guys so much and for coming today. Senator, I wish you well on the trail. What I would like to see is we need to talk about our helping these kids with this college debt. This is them calling me about my alarm. If you guys, again, I want to thank you guys so much for coming today. Great show. Keep doing what you're doing, Senator James. I'll see you.
This is Myra with EMC Security, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
Have a good one.
Password, please.
Oceanside.
Thank you. We have